In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast, I'm going to share my thoughts on Colorado freshman Cody Williams and why I believe he has a chance to be not only the first American and college player selected in June's draft, why I believe there is a case for Cody Williams to be the top pick in the 2024 NBA draft. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I am your host, Rafael Barlowe, the director of scouting for NBA Big Board and the founder of NBA Draft Junkies. Before I get started, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Grammarly. Make a bigger impact at work with Grammarly. Sign up and download for free at grammarly.com/podcast. That is grammarly.com/podcast. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I've been seeing the subscription numbers on YouTube go up. We want to keep them rising and rising and rising because we are your source for NBA draft content 5 days a week. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like, share, comment, click the notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a podcast. Now, this is a series that I'm doing, and it's basically called The Case for Whoever. So I first made a case for Alexander Sarr as the number one pick. Then I did one on Nikola Topic. And then I did another one on Zachary Risachet. So that is 3 international prospects that are in the discussions to be the first pick in the 2024 NBA draft. In the next 3 episodes, I'm going to cover players that are stateside, that are playing in college and even in the NBA G League. And this episode is all about Cody Williams. Now, a little bit of background on Cody Williams. He is more so known for being the younger brother of Oklahoma City wing, star in the making, Jalen Williams. And Cody is a legitimate candidate to be the first pick in the 2024 NBA draft. I've seen some publications put him at number 1. I know Yahoo had him at number 1 recently. And just like everyone else in this draft, Cody has some concerns. This draft is, you hear it all the time. It's not a strong class. People are looking forward to 2025. But with that being said, the draft is wide open. I talk to agents all the time. And one of the questions they ask me is, who do you think is going to be number 1? And then what do you think about this guy? And my answer is pretty much the same for the majority of the prospects. I think there's maybe 5 or 6 guys that could be number 1. And I think that between 15 through 30 to 45 guys can be first-round picks. It's like constantly like, what do you think about John Doe? You think he can be a first-round pick? It's to the point where there are players that aren't even on any major publication big boards that feel like they have a chance to be a top 20 pick with the strong performance in the conference tournament and NCAA tournament and so on. And the crazy thing about it is it's not too far-fetched. But anyway, let's get into Cody Williams. Like I said, he is the younger brother of Jalen Williams. Cody is a 6'8 wing. And there's a lot of value on big wings in today's NBA, especially big wings that can handle the ball, initiate the offense, and defend all over the floor. In a nutshell, that is Cody Williams, and that is why he is considered a candidate to go number 1, why he's such an appealing prospect. Now, coming into the season, I had some concerns about Cody Williams as a shooter, and he's done a really good job of addressing those concerns. I still have some red flags or some things that I'm a little worried about, but I'll get to that later on. But I just want to talk about what makes Cody Williams a intriguing prospect. Like I said, he has good size at 6'8". He's very skilled. He's coordinated. He's athletic. He's smooth and fluid with his movements. Now, he is a good athlete. He's not like crazy explosive, but he's able to get to his spots, has long strides, gets to the rim. Versatility is his main calling card. I think you can play him at multiple positions. He does show some flashes of being able to initiate the offense. And I do think that he has some point forward potential somewhere down the line. He shows some offensive creativity. If you're an everydayer, you know how much I value guys that are creative with the ball. Not super creative, but he does find a way to get to a spot. He can get downhill. He does have some like I say, creativity. He can improvise a little bit. And I think that comes natural when you have an older brother, because I imagine they grew up playing a lot of one-on-one. And when you're the younger brother and you got a brother that's older and stronger, you have to find ways to, get to your stuff. And so he does show flashes of being able to create his own offense off the dribble. He does have a good soft touch finish package around the rim. I'm a big fan of guys that, can finish with touch around the basket. Not everything is going to be a dunk. Not everything is going to be a layup, especially when you get to the NBA. I mean, there's Victor Wembanyama down there. There's Rudy Gobert. There's Anthony Davis. You have to find ways to finish over the top of these athletic bigs with 30-inch verticals and 7'7" wingspans. So Cody does have the soft touch finish package that I really like. And as far as attacking the rim, he is very capable of attacking the rim. Back in his high school days, that was pretty much how he got a lot of his points. That was pretty much his bread and butter, scoring in the paint. He had some physical and size and athleticism advantages on the high school level, but even playing college basketball, he has been able to get to the rim. I'll get to him needing to get stronger to become a more effective finisher, but I mean, the dude's shooting splits are crazy, and I'll get to the numbers later on. And then I want to talk about the passing. He hasn't really been able to fully showcase his full passing skills because he's playing with KJ Simpson, who is having a phenomenal year. KJ Simpson might be the most underrated prospect in this draft cycle. I mean, whether it's points, rebounds, assists, I mean, he's putting up good numbers. So Cody is playing off the ball. One of the concerns that I actually had coming into this season was how well Cody could play off the ball, because he just wasn't an efficient shooter on the high school level and AAU and even for USA basketball. And so I wondered if Cody isn't knocking shots down from outside and teams are packing the paint, how effective would he be? And so far, there really hasn't been any concerns. But I do think that Cody has potential to play point forward down the line. He shows good passing instincts, can play pick and roll. And again, if you're 6'8" and you're long and athletic and you can initiate the offense or be a secondary ball handler, there is a lot of value in that. And today's NBA is kind of positionless. We've been hearing that for years. And Cody is a guy that I think at some point in time you can play him at 4 different positions on the floor. You can play him as a small ball 4 where he initiates the offense. You can play him as a 3. You can play him as a 2. I mean, I think with his versatility, it gives a head coach so much flexibility in his lineups because Cody has the size and he has the skill set to play and defend all over the floor. And he thrives in transition. He is really good in the open floor. He's a guy that can take a rebound, turn a rebound into a personal fast break. He is what I call a transition playmaker. He can make plays for himself in transition, from taking it coast to coast, or he can be the guy, like I said, turns a rebound into a fast break, and he has the passing instincts and court vision to make plays and find teammates running down the floor, whether it's a guy cutting as a vertical lob threat or streaking down, or even a guy spotting up. Cody Williams has the IQ and the skill set and the instincts to make the right play. And then I just get back to finishing. He is a really good finisher at the rim, despite the fact that he kind of gets bumped off of his spots a little bit. Sometimes he doesn't always go up strong. What makes him so interesting is, like, when I watch his film and watch games, I'm like, man, he had a layup there, he didn't go up strong, or he shied away from the contact. And then you just look at his numbers, you're like, I'm nitpicking, because he is an efficient finisher at the rim. All right, when we return, I'll talk a little bit more about Cody Williams' strengths. I'll talk about some areas of concern, and I even break down some stats for you. Our partners at eBay have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd, and that is to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. We're in the second half of the season, so I know your fantasy teams it's getting close to playoff time. Whether you are prepping for a daily draft or just scouring the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you with a list of players that are guaranteed to fit your roster. Keywords, guaranteed to fit. So let's see who Josh, the fantasy basketball guru, has as eBay's guaranteed fit basketball fantasy picks of the week. And the number one player that Josh has is DeAndre Hunter. Hunter is shooting well, and with Trae Young out, the touches and the shot attempts will spike. So DeAndre Hunter is a name that you need to pick up on your waiver wire if he's available. And then there's Dennis Schroeder with Ben Simmons coming off the bench, which the fact that he's playing is good. And another player that I want to talk about is Corey Kispert from the Washington Wizards. And at some point, he should find a larger role permanently. He is shooting well, and the Wizards they should start him more. I mean, their season is going absolutely nowhere. So those are Josh Lloyd's picks, and Josh is here to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a thing or two about championships, and they also recognize that a championship team is all about a player being the perfect fit, and that is the same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you can make sure that your car stays running smoothly, whether it's brake kits, LED lights, roof racks, bumpers. Whatever your car needs, eBay Motors has it. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or you will get your money back. Plus, at these prices, you are burning rubber and not cash. So keep your car alive and clean and fresh with eBay Motors. So check out ebaymotors.com. And the eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only, and exclusions apply. Locked On has launched the first ever 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it is also now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it is covering the top stories of the day with the local experts from Locked On and also the national shows that cover every league. So find us at Locked On Sports Today, which is now available for free on Fire TV Channels app on Amazon. All right, second segment. The first segment, I kind of went into Cody's strengths, but I want to go a little bit into his weaknesses. So one of the big concerns for me is Cody's lack of strength, and that's something that is easily fixed. He's fairly thin. Sometimes he avoids physicality. There are times when he goes to the rim and you think like, oh man, he should go up stronger, and he kind of has a tendency to like fade away, or he just doesn't finish with authority. But then there's times where if he has a runway, he will make a play above the rim. So I think he needs to get stronger, but that is something that you can say literally about every single player. I mean, these guys are 18, 19, and 20 years old. I mean, there are some exceptions, like a guy like Isaiah Collier, who's already naturally strong. But for the most part, you can literally put that on every single scouting report that players need to get stronger. And then with Cody, he is somewhat of a reluctant shooter from three. Now, he's putting up good numbers this year. Like, the outside shooting was something I was really, really concerned about. He was like below 20% in the EYBL in his last year. I think he was like 2 of 8 from three when he played for Team USA this summer. And he's somewhat of a reluctant shooter, but he has proven that when he does shoot it, he's efficient. Right now, he's shooting 45.7% from three, which is crazy. Now, it's only on 1.9 attempts per game in 30 minutes. So the guy plays 30 minutes, only takes 2 threes per game. But his efficiency numbers across the board are impressive. 59% from the floor, 45% from three. But here's why I'm a little bit concerned. Not necessarily all about the volume. He's a 70% foul shooter. So when you talk about a guy that wasn't an efficient three-point shooter throughout the prep ranks, and then all of a sudden he has this crazy spike in efficiency, but then you see that he is an average foul shooter, it makes you, at least for me, it makes me wonder, like, which is the real indicator. He's getting to the foul line 3.6 times per game, but only making 70% of his free throws. And when I go look at some of his games, he had a game where he was, I mean, the numbers don't necessarily look bad, but he's had games where he was 2 of 4 from the foul line, 4 of 7 from the foul line, 5 of 8. Again, the numbers aren't too bad, but you would like to see a ball handler, at least in my opinion. I would like to see a ball handler shoot a little bit above 70% from three. Another area of concern for me is He's not a particularly good rebounder. He's averaging 3.3 rebounds per game in 30 minutes. Not bad numbers, but with his athleticism and length and tools, I think that he could be a better rebounder because, like I mentioned, he can turn rebounds into personal fast breaks. Now, if you look at the assist numbers, and I talked about him being a good passer, he's averaging just 1.8 assists per game. The bigger issue is that he's averaging more turnovers than assists. So, to me, if you have like a wing that you're talking about as, a top 5 pick, and one of his greatest attributes is his passing and playmaking, but the assist to turnover ratio is underwater, that is a little underwhelming and a little bit concerning. Defensively, I think that he is a good defender. I think he has the tools and the the physical tools and the length and mobility and agility to be a guy that can defend all over the floor. But if you just go by his accounting stats, he's not really putting up a lot of stocks, averaging less than a block per game, averaging less than a steal per game. If you combine them, it's like 1.5 stocks per game, which is, again, on paper, the accounting stats don't necessarily reflect on him being like a high-level defender. But I do think that he is a better defender than the accounting stats just because of his length and mobility and versatility. And I think you're going to be able to put him all over the floor and defend. Another area of concern that I have is sometimes he can just be really passive. Like sometimes he's just not really aggressive and assertive. And he's had multiple games where he's taken under 10 shots. Like, for example, his last 5 or 6 games, he hasn't taken 10 shots. The last game that he attempted more than 10 shots was against Washington, and that was January 24th. He had a game where he was 0 for 4 against Washington State, and then he's had 2 games where he took 9 attempts. His last game, which was February 24th against Utah, he was just 2 of 4 from the floor, only scored 4 points in 25 minutes. He had a game, it was a win, but he had a game against USC where he played 41 minutes and only took 6 shots. He was 5 of 6 from the floor, 4 of 6 from the line. He was efficient with 14 points, but he also had 7 turnovers that game. So I would like to see him become a little bit more assertive and aggressive. And then I would like to see him cut down the turnovers and spike up the assist numbers. So those are my concerns for Cody Williams. All right, when we return, I'll just give an overall summary on Cody. What teams do I believe could be a good fit for him? Stay tuned. All right, before we get into the last segment, I want to talk about our sponsor for today, which is Grammarly. And I'm a big fan of Grammarly. I use Grammarly all the time. I use it for my NBA Big Board newsletter. And no matter what kind of work you do, how you communicate is key, is very important. With all the emails and reports and presentations that you may have to do at work, those are equally important. And you need to be able to get things done and get them done efficiently. And that's where Grammarly can come in and help. And Grammarly is your AI partner to help you communicate effectively and efficiently so you can make a bigger impact at work. 96% of Grammarly users report that Grammarly helps them craft more impactful writing. Grammarly works across 500,000 apps and websites, and it understands your writing and context, and it provides excellent, relevant, personalized suggestions. Their tone suggestions also help you navigate even the most difficult work conversations. So if you have that person that you work with and they're getting on your nerves and you want to check them in a politically correct way, Grammarly can help. And Grammarly is the gold standard of responsible AI with 14 years of experience and just about every IT certification under the sun. And Grammarly is a secure AI writing partner that helps you and your team get your point across faster. So make a bigger impact at work with Grammarly. Sign up and download for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. That is Grammarly, Grammarly.com/podcast. Easier said than done. All right, last segment. I just want to talk a little bit about Cody Williams and make the case for him as the number 1 pick. And one of the reasons I think that there is a good chance for him to be the number 1 pick is because right now NBA teams are valuing big wing playmakers, big wing initiators and just versatile wings that can play all over the floor. I kind of call it like the Paul George, archetype. Not saying that he is Paul George, but right now teams are looking for that guy that can make plays, that can play the 3, can play some 4 if you need him to, that can defend all over the place. And Cody Williams fits the bill. Now, as far as teams that I think would be a good fit, Washington would be a good fit, even though they have some guys with duplicating skill sets that play the wing. Denny Avdia is playing really well. Bilal Coulibaly is, I think, going to be an all-NBA defender at some point in his career, and he is a guy that came out of nowhere, one of the youngest players in the league. I thought he's played well. I talked about Corey Kispert in the ad about how he needs more playing time, but I do think Washington needs as much talent as possible, and maybe Williams is a guy that they can develop into a point forward down the line, and maybe he could be their point guard of the future. Detroit, if the shooting, if he continues to shoot 45% from 3 and he's not as hesitant as a 3-point shooter, I think Detroit could be a good fit. Detroit could use some size and shooting at the wing, and it is still crazy to me that I'm talking about Cody Williams as a shooter because that was his biggest flaw and the biggest area of concern coming into the season. And he's done an excellent job of addressing that concern. Now you just want the volume to increase, but I want the volume to increase across the board, not just from shooting 3s. And then there's the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio has quite a few wings, but they need playmakers. Jeremy Sohan was playing point guard for them at one point. I do believe that they're going to address their need for a point guard in the draft. As of today, which is February 29th, they should have 2 lottery picks. So I can imagine they're going to select another guard in the draft. But Cody Williams, with his versatility and passing and defensive potential, could be another wing that you can pair with Victor Wembanyama. And if you got guys that are plus defenders and passers, they can make Victor's life easy, but one of the things that really benefits San Antonio is that they have their building block. They have their franchise guy. So now at this point, you just have to find complementary pieces around them. And I think Cody Williams can be a good complementary piece for San Antonio and Victor Wembanyama. And then there's the Portland Trailblazers, who right now, they have a pretty good chance of landing the number 1 pick. They're in the 5 spot or have the 5th worst record. At this point, they could also use another wing with versatility. I think Cody would really be important, especially if he develops into the point forward that I think he can be. Even if it's not necessarily like a full-time point forward, a big wing that can relieve like a scoring point guard of the scoring duties and initiate the offense. I think back to, and I'm a Blazers fan, but I think back to how there was a time when Nick Batum kind of initiated the offense, and it allowed Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum to score. Not saying that Batum was the point guard, but he did, put those guys in positions where they could score, and it created some advantages. And I think for Portland, with Scoot Henderson and Ant Simons having another playmaker on the floor, could open things up for them. And then there's the Memphis Grizzlies, who right now are on the 6th spot. And they already have their franchise guy. They have really their core, their top 3 players, John Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr. So right now it's all about finding complementary pieces. And I think Gigi Jackson is going to be one of those complementary pieces. But I'm a very biased Gigi Jackson fan. I think Vince Williams has proven that he's going to be part of their core. But adding a player like Cody, again, it's a big wing that can be a secondary playmaker. And if he's shooting the ball well, you have a big-time weapon. Well, that wraps up this episode of the NBA Big Board Podcast. And this is the case for Cody Williams as the number 1 pick. And the case is a big wing that has playmaking skills that can defend all over the floor, that is shooting 45% from 3 and 57% from the floor. Why not? Why can't he be the number 1 pick? So this is the case for Cody Williams. Once again, it's Rafael at NBA Big Board, and I am out of here. And stay tuned for the next 2 episodes where I will cover Matas Buzelis and Ron Holland, why I believe they have a chance, maybe an outside chance, but why they have a chance to be the top pick in the 2024 NBA Draft.